Hi, I'm Arsen Cashian, the Boulder Bookstore's head buyer, and I'm here to tell you about some new books. And I don't know, maybe some other people are out there who miss baseball, just miss it as the background noise while they cook dinner, miss going to the ballpark. I've been trying everything to make up for the lack of baseball. I even watched a game of Korean baseball on ESPN, and that was kind of strange. There were cheerleaders but no fans. But anyway, I've taken out my old baseball cards. I've done all sorts of things. But the only thing that I find is sort of slaking this thirst is reading a few books about it. And so the first one I want to talk about is 24, Willie Mays' story. And this is co-written by John Shea. And in it, Willie goes through his entire career. And what I like about this book is I'm learning new stories about Willie Mays, who was one of the greatest, happiest players ever. He was such a great player, but always had a smile. He was called the Say Hey Kid. One of the stories in here that I didn't know about occurred when he was in the minor leagues. And he was playing for Trenton, and they were playing in Hagerstown. He was the only African American in the entire league. And so in Hagerstown, which was the only town in the league below the Mason-Dixon line, they just tore into him. They just ripped him apart, as you can imagine. And so the first two games of this series, he killed them. He had several hits. His team won both games. And so before the announcer announced him for the third game, he asked the fans to stop hollering at Willie Mays, because Willie Mays was killing them, and it wasn't doing any good hollering and yelling at him. Obviously, he was just feeding off of it. So I thought that was very entertaining. And in fact, Willie Mays didn't get a hit that game. But there's all sorts of fun stories. John Shea does a great job setting things up, and then you get a Willie Mays quote. So it's really nice. The other baseball book I'm finding very interesting is Lou Gehrig, The Lost Memoir. And this actually is a lost memoir from the Yankee great Lou Gehrig. Lou Gehrig was called the Iron Horse. He had the record for most consecutive games played. He was on those World Series teams with Babe Ruth. He actually wrote an autobiography in 1927 that never saw the light of day. And it's very interesting. You know, some of the things he has to say, some of them are kind of rah-rah, but some really evoke the times and what it was like to be a ball player back then. And so I'm really enjoying this one as well. I've got a couple new novels I wanted to discuss. First one is Latitudes of Longing, and I'm going to probably not do a good job on this name. SHUBHANGI SWARUP. This is an epic Indian book. It's her debut. It takes place all throughout the country of India. It involves many different people, characters. It's richly layered. It's really kind of a beautiful book to sink into. So I would recommend this if you're kind of looking for an epic to take you far away. And then Lionel Shriver, The Motion of the Body Through Space. This is a quintessential American book. Shriver's a great writer who's been writing for a long time. Her first book was We Need to Talk About Kevin, which was made into a movie that some people might have seen, which talked about the Columbine massacre. So in this book, it's a retired couple. The man is just retired, and out of nowhere, he's kind of a couch potato, he decides he wants to train for a marathon. Well, the timing isn't very good, because during their whole marriage, the wife was an exercise freak, and he never participated in anything. Now he wants to exercise. Her knees are shot. She can't really do anything. Through this kind of couple, Shriver kind of skewers our exercise culture and our desire to take everything to the extremes. So she's a very good writer, very good at satire. The next book, Ocean Anatomy, The Curious Parts and Pieces of the World Under the Sea. This is just such a fun book. It's loaded with pictures. Here's a kelp forest. I hope you can see that. And there's all sorts of just wonderful illustrations in here. And the author, who is Julia Rothman, just goes through all aspects of sea life, from coral reefs to the particular fish or shellfish or whatever. Here's Anatomy of an Octopus, because everybody seems to love octopus these days. But it's a wonderful book, full of information. I gave it to my daughter, and she's been just giving us odd bits of information all the time. She seems quite enamored with this tiny little fish that actually sometimes hides out in a sea cucumber's anus. She finds that to be a truly remarkable fact. And then I have a book here I want to talk about. It's not that new. It came out in September, but I had an email about it, or somebody contacted me about it from one of the previous episodes of this, and they asked me what I thought about it. And so they asked me about Demi Moore's Inside Out. This was actually one of the best celebrity biographies, if not the best celebrity biography, to come out in 2019. Moore had a really rough childhood, which most people didn't know. She got pigeonholed in all sorts of ways in her Hollywood career. She fought for equal pay. She talks about all these things with amazing candor in this biography. And so, to that viewer out there that asked, I would say yes, you should read this book if you are interested in Demi Moore or interested in female celebrities and what they have to go through. But in general, if you like memoir, she really does a good job and is very candid in this one. And finally, Mountains, Epic Cycling Climbs, Michael Blann. This is a big, beautiful book. And I know we have a lot of bike riders out there. And so the mountains he's talking about are actually the Alps. He doesn't talk about the Rockies. Let me see if I can get you some, but there's just beautiful photographs in this book as well. And this would make a beautiful gift book for perhaps Father's Day, perhaps mothers, even though it's not Mother's Day anymore, but I'm sure there's some great cyclists out there who would love this book. And I was just so captured by the pictures. And again, there's some sort of kind of travel longing going on since we can't travel. And with these pictures, there is short essays by about 20 different cyclists throughout history who've ridden these routes, including the American Greg LeMond. Most of them are European, but there are some Americans who talk about it. But it's just a gorgeous book. So that's it for this week. Happy reading.